Welcome to my little corner of YouTube. I am BB Morgan. I am a fantasy author of romantic fantasy, but no, I don't write fantasy romance. I have dabbled in romantasy, but most of what I write I would classify as romantic fantasy, where the romance is secondary to the fantasy part. Not that I don't like romance or think it's lesser. I need plot. I need plot to keep me going. I need plot to supplement the romance. And that goes for any genre, not necessarily fantasy. But anyway, this week I have been doing some videos, some of which you saw, some of which I forgot about until I got into that folder this morning. All in an effort to celebrate the latest release of my book, the 15th book that I have published, The Blood Enchantress. It is a romantasy. Vampires, fae, not like your stereotypical fae. They're mostly just, they've lost their magic, so now they just live a long time with pointy ears. The book is now out. The book has been released. It is out in the world. You can buy it. My author copies are on the way. They are somewhere. They probably haven't been printed yet, let's be honest. But just whatever. So I wanted to make this little video here talking about how I am celebrating the release of my 15th book. First, I made a half a pot of coffee. So, number one, how I'm celebrating the release of my 15th book. I am taking it easy. I am not doing anything super special today. I put on a sweatshirt, sweatpants, didn't wash my hair this morning. I washed my hair last night. I took a shower last night. And I did not comb it after I got out of the shower, and then I went to bed with my hair wet, which is why it is up. Because it is a hot mess. Like, it's one of those, I don't know if any girls out there are men with long hair, people with hair, let's just leave it with that. You know, when you go to bed with your hair wet and then you wake up and it's like out to here and it's just, you've gone full Tarzan. So that's why my hair is up. I put on makeup. You should be proud of me. I thought about not doing that, but I'm like, no, this is going on the internet. I want to look at least a little presentable. By taking it easy, I'm not stressing over anything. I am working on my next book at a leisurely pace. Because by working on my next book, I'm really just going over book 2 in a quartet. So I can get to book 4, which is half finished. So that way I can finish book 4, really understanding the entirety of the series. So that way, whenever we start talking about next releases, we can do another rapid release like we did with Stars and Bones. So we can have all 4 books in the series come out, within 6 months of each other. But I'm also playing some Minecraft. True story, I have not actually opened Minecraft yet, but that is in my goal. I wanted to do this first, then I'm going to open some Minecraft. Maybe listen to an audiobook. Okay, that's actually console not yet happened. I don't have my app open yet. I am actually watching some of my favorite YouTubers play Repo. It's whatever. If that's what relaxes me, that's just how it is, okay? If you have something that relaxes you, that's fine. Whatever. We don't have to do the same things. We don't have to like the same things. That's the fun part of being a person, right? We all have different things we like. We have different things we don't like. It's fine. It takes all kinds. I did, however, this morning, in a not so relaxing mindset, I set up advertisements, or not, what do we call them? Ads. I set up ads for Facebook and Amazon. I have them, they will both run just for next week. So that way, if I get to Wednesday and I forget about them, I'm not going to be out hundreds of dollars. No, they have a set budget that I have approved and I have planned for. And so next week, I'll just have those running. Well, I guess they start today and they will end next Saturday. Today's Saturday, spoiler alert. And that is something that I wanted to do. I wanted to do some advertisements before I start doing, like, the discount email newsletters like I've been doing for Stars and Bones. But point number 3 in my list of things that I'm doing to celebrate, I considered email newsletter subscriptions. All of the ones that I would submit my book to after, like, the first week that it has been released and I've had my advertisements going. My ARC reviews might start coming in, because I didn't get my ARCs out as soon as I wanted to. So, I just let everyone know, like, hey, you've got 2 weeks to read it before the release. If you don't get it done in time, that is perfectly fine. I'm not gonna come after you. It's fine. It's fine. Because it's on me for not getting them out sooner. But it's fine. It's the fun part of being an indie author, or in my case, a small press, is that we're not confined to the success that we have on release day or the success that we have during launch week. I also got my flu shot this past week, and I've been a little bleh, which I think has added to my stress level. It was a very stressful week at work. But I realized that on Friday. I'm like, oh, I got my flu shot on Tuesday. That's probably why this week has been sucky. But after, in the week of release, the week after release, then I can start thinking about, like, okay, what kind of discount newsletters, can I subscribe to? Or that I subscribe to, do I want to submit my book to? Because I subscribed to several of them. I tried to submit it to BookBub, and of course they declined it, of course. They have declined every submission that I have sent to them. It's very annoying, but at the same time, it's kind of their thing that they have a tight selection, which that's a different video that I have planned in the future. So not today. Today we're not gonna complain. We're taking it easy. Today's gonna be an easy day. Point number 4 that I wanted to make. It's been a while since I have had a book that's not part of a series come out. Like, the last several books have been in the Stars and Bones series. There were 6 books in that series. And then I had Heart of Stone come out, and that was a trilogy. So I've only had really 2 books that I felt like I could market easily come out within the past 5 years. So now I have this other book that's not part of a series, and I'm just not quite, I don't quite know what to do with it. Because in Stars and Bones, the first book is free, so I can market it very easily. Be like, hey, this book 1 free. Want it? No? Okay, cool. And Heart of Stone, the first book, is only 99 cents. And I feel like that's also a little bit easier to market. Like, hey, young adult steampunk, 99 cents. Yes, no. This new book, though, it's brand new. It's not on sale. It's full price at $5.99. I think so. I think it's $6. Which, compared to some of the traditional books that are coming out that are like $15 for an ebook, and that's not a bad price. The $6.99 or the $5.99. It's $5.99. It is $6. I had to look. I'm like, I am pretty certain it's only $6. I've forgotten what it is like to have like a new book come out that's not part of a series, and I just don't quite know what to do or what I should be doing. And I'm sure I could have, looked up tutorials or author things online to see what I should be doing for like a book launch, but a lot of them include things that I just don't have access to. Like a launch party. I'm like, this is it. This is the launch party. Me and my coffee and my sweats. My dog is here somewhere. I live in a cornfield, alright? I live between cornfields in the middle of nowhere. There's not really anywhere to have a launch party that I don't have to drive an hour to. And then I don't really have an author group that I can meet with. I don't have fans nearby that I know of. It's not my mom. Which I'm technically going into point number 6. I skipped number 5, which is how I would love to have had like this big grand affair at like a cafe or a winery to celebrate the release of my 15th book. Because number 15, that's a pretty big number. That's a pretty significant number. That's awesome. It is something to celebrate. But again, I don't live in an area that is conducive to those kinds of events. There's not a big readership in this part of the country. And yeah, I could go do something at a bookstore in like St. Louis or Evansville or somewhere, Effingham. But it's just, that sounds terrifying. I don't like the idea of that, because I would have to basically pack up my car and then drive an hour to any of these locations, or more than an hour to any of these locations, and hope that people show up. And just the idea of like setting up a table in like a bookstore and just sitting there with a pile of my books and people are just walking by not talking to me and I sit there for 5 hours. I'm like, that is a complete waste of my time. I don't want to do that. That sounds terrifying. That that sounds like emotional trauma to me. I don't want to do that. The introvert in me just cringes. Just like I would cry the way home and I don't want to do that. Why would I put myself through that? I want to be the author that is behind a screen. I want to be the online author. I will sell all of the ebooks and just and I know so many like authors and agents and editors, they talk about going to conferences and how important these conferences are for networking and meeting people. I would love to have time and money to do that, but I don't. Why? Because I would have to, one, take off work from my job, two, fly across the country in almost every single instance because they're either on the West Coast or the East Coast. They're never in a convenient location for me, or they're in Chicago, and I don't want to go to Chicago by myself, which is another big thing. I would basically have to go to all of these by myself. That also sounds terrifying. Like if I had like a little author club that we would all go to like these conferences together, that wouldn't be that bad. But it still sounds terrifying. Because one, I would have to fly to like really any of these places. And I've never flown before and I don't really want to. It also sounds real scary. I wish America had more trains. I really do. I feel like trains are really an underdeveloped, underutilized thing here because trains are cool. They're trains. Trains are inherently cool. And you could have like a whole system of like Hogwarts expresses running around the country. That's so cool. It would be like I could take a whole vacation of just riding trains. Get my little compartment, ride from like St. Louis to New York and then back again. That would be cool. I would enjoy that. Some rich person, get on that. Make a train system. Going back to point number 5 because I skipped it and went right into 6 unintentionally. Point number 5 is about being an indie author and doing a book release because being a small author, indie author, or in my case, a small press author, that means that my book's success is not inherently tied to the performance that it does on release day. I am not dependent on its success during like launch day or launch week. I can sell 2 copies on launch day and then send out a promotion or do something or whatever, and then the sales can skyrocket a year from now. And that is perfectly fine because I'm not going to get dropped because my books aren't selling. That is not how we operate, which is one of the biggest and best things. I've used the word thing a lot today. I know I don't have a script I'm reading from. I have a list of bullet points, which is more than I usually have, okay? But that's one thing that is my favorite parts of being an indie author, small press, is that you can put your books out and it's okay if they don't sell immediately. It's okay if they don't sell every week because you're not dependent on that income. You don't have agents and editors and publishers who are also dependent on that income. And if you don't sell enough, they might, not publish book 2 or you might get dropped and then you're just in the fish tank with all the other querying fishes again. That's a level of stress that I don't want. I keep telling myself this in the back of my mind, like, you don't need to traditionally publish. It's fine. It's not the only viable way to publish anymore. And I know this, many other people know this, but I think that it's just wired into my brain that traditional publishing is better, and I know it's not anymore, but that is just how it's wired into my brain. Going back to how my success is not inherently dependent on the success of my book during launch week. And how great that is because number 1, this week has absolutely sucked. It has been one of the most stressful weeks at my day job that I've had in a very long time. Like, I've had a headache almost every day. My stress level, I have snapped at several of my coworkers because it's just been one thing after another. Basically, of me getting blamed for things that aren't really my fault or getting accused of not doing something right. and it's just been very stressful. And so I have not been in the mindset to come home and market my book, to think about marketing my book, to focus on all of these things that go into, marketing a book up to the day of the release. I haven't been in that mindset. Luckily, I was in that mindset a couple weeks ago and I got to set up all of the Facebook posts, and I think I did some Twitter posts. I don't know. I don't get on Twitter anymore for reasons. Mostly because it's just I don't get any traction and no one responds to anything that I say. And it's all just like, why am I posting on this site if my posts just get buried and no one interacts? So it's like pointless. Threads is really getting to that same point too. But that's neither here nor there. That's a different list of complaints. So moving on to point number 7. I'm holding my coffee, so I can't hold up the 7. I thought about celebrating the release, the release launch, the release of The Blood Enchantress by buying myself some new books. I thought about it. I went, I kind of scanned, the books that were out there, and just kind of I didn't see any that were books that I needed. And again, if there was a bookstore closer to me, it might have ended differently. But in this case, I did not add any books to my cart. I think some of that is that I've already bought the books that I really wanted. Like, I had several books come out recently by authors that I really enjoy, that I knew I was going to want their book, so I just bought it anyway. But also, my bookshelf is full. And I have told myself that I cannot buy any more books until I read some of the books off my bookshelf. And then I also have this bookshelf here behind me that is full of my OwlCrate special edition books. I haven't read any of these because I don't read fast enough. And so I don't want to buy more books because, number one, there have been several instances where I will buy a book twice because I have forgotten that it is already on my shelf. There was a book that I was looking at and the name just sounded so familiar, but the cover didn't look familiar. So I'm like, I'll just wait. And I'm glad I did because that book is actually on this shelf behind me. That's why the cover didn't look familiar, but the title did. It is on this bookshelf somewhere. Or I will have them on my Kindle and I will have forgotten about it. And I'm like, oh, I don't need that book. I've already got it somewhere. So I'm a lot more hesitant to buy books now because I don't want duplicate copies of so many books. Because then I have to figure out what to do with it. I will probably donate it somewhere. So unless I can find a place in here for a third bookshelf, I can buy no more books unless I start reading faster, which they're already stacked on top of each other very awkwardly. So I'm trying not to buy more books unless I know it's a book that I'm going to really enjoy or it's on sale on my Kindle. I've been reading more Kindle books lately. I haven't been reading as many physical books, which it goes around and around. I will go through phases where I won't read on my Kindle very often. I'll read more physical books. And it's just how it happens. And point number 8, and the final point, is that in hindsight, I really should have taken several days off from work this week. I should have just taken, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, because I have vacation I need to use before I lose it. In hindsight, that would have been very strategic to have taken off work, so that way I could have sat home those 3 days and just focused on getting my book out there. I could have made a whole series of videos. I could have made a month's worth of like YouTube videos to have ready to go. I could have made all these things for TikTok. I could have done so much with that time. Otherwise, since not, hold on, time out. What just came out of my mouth? I could have used that time so much more strategically to market my book, to get my book out there, to network with possible reviewers, to talk to my ARC team, to have newsletter things go out. But no, instead I was swamped with stress to the point where, like, I did cry. I think it was Thursday. I did cry at work because I was just so stressed out. And there was just one needle on the haystack too much that I broke down. So I could have avoided all that and worked on my book had I not, And I think some of it boils down to me never having a job before this one that I had vacation time to use. Because they were all either part time or just real shitty jobs that didn't have vacation time. Like there was one, it was full time, but you had to work there a year or 6 months, I think it was, before you got your 1 week of vacation time. And then you had to work there 2 years before you got 2 weeks of vacation time. That was just a terrible job all around. But anyway, so I'm so used to not having vacation time that I don't know to ask for it off, even though I can. So I feel like I'm just being a burden when I ask for things, and I don't want to do that. And I would love to just be able to be an author full time or find some job that allows me to write more, to be less stressed out. Like some job in publishing would be fantastic if I could start I don't know. I don't know all the jobs in publishing without having to like move to New York. I don't want to move to New York to work in publishing, okay? I just don't. Even just the idea of moving to like St. Louis fills me with anxiety, and I don't want it. I want to live in my little cubicle in the middle of nowhere so I can pretend that I am like the witch in the woods, the crazy witch lady that lives in the wood, okay? That's what I want. That is what I want for myself. I look very pale in this light. I have my window slightly open, so there's some natural daylight coming in, along with my little light up there. This is how I look in the sunlight. I'm very pasty. This is natural. I don't look pale. I am pale. So moving back to point 8 of me thinking how I should have taken some days this week off so I can prepare the relaunch again with the relaunch. I don't know what my brain is trying to do there. The release launch release. And I think some of it also connects to how I struggle to feel like I am a legit author to feel like I'm a professional author, because I want to be able to do this as a career. I want to be able to write as a career. I want to be a professional author. I want this to be my main gig. I don't want this to be just something I do when I feel like it when I get home from my day job. I don't want this to just be something that I do on Saturday mornings because that's when I have time. I want this to be my main thing. And a part of me, I think, just struggles to put myself on the same shelf as like these big name authors that I adore, because I don't feel like we are the same. I really feel like they are like a step up. Like they are on the top shelf and I am struggling to get on like the bottom shelf. And I know some of that is just imposter syndrome and my own just lack of self-esteem 90% of the time, but that is how I feel. And I want to be taken seriously by the writing industry. I want to be taken seriously as an author. I don't want to be just another indie author that's taking up space that people ignore. Like it's not what I want. And trying to break through that glass ceiling is so hard. Because I feel like every time I turn around, there's just another rejection rating around the corner. There's someone to, snuff out your candle. I want this to be a career. And I know that in order to make it a career, I have to treat it like a career. And I would love to be able to quit my job and just do this full time. But that, unfortunately, is not how it works. Because I have bills I have to pay. And until my sugar daddy comes along, or I meet some prince with a haunted castle with an enchanted library somewhere, this is it. This is what I've got. I'm struggling with a stressful job that is emotionally demanding and struggling to put books out. Which, granted, I was thinking about this yesterday. I have written 15 books. Well, I have not written 15 books. I have published 15 books. I have written considerably more books. I probably have another 10. At least 5 that I can think of off the top of my head. So 20 books, give or take, that I have written since I published my first book in 2016. That is 15 books in 9 years. I have just published 15 books in 9 years. I have written 20 books in 10 years. That's 2 books a year. And that's not just me churning out a crappy first draft. Like, that's 15 published books. That is 15 books that have gone through the rigmarole of editing and revising. Published. That is an astronomical number. That's an excellent number. And I should be thrilled with that. I should be incredibly proud of that. To have published 15 books. 7, 8, 9, 10 of which I am very proud of. The first 4 were my self-published books. Yes, they went through a lot of editing, but it was my skill level was not quite where it is now versus like the first Stars and Bones book or the 6 Stars and Bones books, the Heart of Stone trilogy, or Blood Enchantress that just came out. Like, in all honesty, the Blood Enchantress is some of my best writing because it's me writing for 10 years. I have learned a lot more. My writing style has improved significantly since I published my first book back in 2016. It has improved significantly. My ability to craft a scene has improved. I'm not saying that my first 4 books are terrible and you shouldn't read them and then they should just be burned, but they're just not quite the same. They're not quite the same. They are not the same. Like, my writing is better, my ability to craft a story is better, my ability to create a cast is better. They're just all around better, right? That is me saying this objectively, from an objective standpoint, that I am just a better writer than I was 10 years ago. If I wasn't, I'd be very concerned. But anyway, to wrap this up, because this has gone on longer than I wanted it to anyway, I am celebrating the release of my 15th book, The Blood Enchantress. It is out now. If you like adult romantasy, there is spice in it, there is vampires, there are plot twists. Woo! Not very many, but there are plot twists. Because, I mean, what is a book without any plot twists whatsoever? I think it's a good book. I would rate it 5 stars, and I did. But again, it's my book. If I didn't think it was a 5-star book, I would not have published it. But thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with me for this long. If you are interested in The Blood Enchantress, please check it out. You don't have to let me know if you actually bought it, if you actually like it. If you hated it, please don't tell me about it. But stick around for more book news, writing news, books I'm reading, books that I'm working on. All that fun stuff will be coming up eventually. I might even fix my hair for those videos.